3, 2, 1.
And now, you're tuned into the Navarro-Miller Report, featuring the hottest in news, entertainment, sports, and all those topics for the mainstream audience. The Navarro-Miller Report.
Examine your reality.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Navarro-Miller Report. I'm your host, Dave Navarro.
And I'm Jeremy Miller.
And happy holidays to everybody. It is the biggest Christmas week ever. No, not really. It's just another Christmas week. But I am in the Christmas in the Christmas spirit, as you can tell, Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
I got the hat on. I got the better hat than yours. The better beanie than yours, really.
Keep dreaming, baby.
Please. Then again, next year might actually be the case. Whatever. You know what? I don't even want to get into that with you right now. Every time I talk with you about what's going to happen next year with UCLA, I start having stomach issues.
Well, you're in the same boat we were, man. You're stuck with a coach who can't win and doesn't seem to have any idea what he's doing. So good luck with that.
God, now you could go ahead and definitely be all like, nah.
Well, hey, I lived through it, man. I had to live through 6 years of Clay Helton. So, enjoy. Hopefully UCLA will figure it out and get rid of him soon. But, hopefully for you. I'm rooting for them to sign him to a long-term contract.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Well, I mean, hopefully that won't be the case. But, yeah, you in a sense, I think you actually feel my pain. Like, are you actually being sympathetic towards UCLA fans?
No. I'm being sympathetic towards you slightly.
Oh, okay.
I'm still laughing my butt off,
yeah.
But I do have a bit of knowledge of where that pain is coming from. So I feel a little sorry for you guys.
Much like how I was last year with you. So, I mean, I was in the same boat. But yeah, it sucks. Anyways, I digress. Welcome, everybody, to a wonderful episode. We got a lot of cool stuff to chat with you about. But as it would have it, first of all, I would like to go ahead and say hello to everybody watching us on Facebook right now, on Jeremy's Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, there is a link on the description of this live video where it leads you to the YouTube channel. Please click on that, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you know every time we come on live and you can watch our episodes. I mean, I would love for everybody to move over. I'm just doing this for Facebook because, well, it's the holidays. Why not? Go ahead and just go all out, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we won't be doing this very often, and we're certainly not doing it regularly. So if you guys want to keep up with us, please check it out on Facebook, subscribe and hit that bell
YouTube.
button. What did I say?
Facebook.
No, we're on Facebook. Please go over to YouTube.
Away from Facebook.
We're not going to be here. No offense to Facebook, but no, we're not going to be here very often. So, please follow us over to YouTube and smash that like and subscribe and all that good stuff, please.
Yay. So as we always start the show, I like to go ahead and do a few TikToks to get Jeremy's reaction. I love Jeremy's reaction because they're freaking hilarious. Sometimes he's speechless. Sometimes he's just like cracking up laughing. This particular one has to do with how certain bodybuilders, I guess, deal with dating, I suppose. So, I mean, I'll just go ahead and let it speak for yourself. And for all I know, Jeremy, maybe you know a few people. I know a few guys are like this, too. So you might agree with what this guy has to say in this video. Let me go ahead and put this up right here. And there we go.
Boyfriend can't bench 225. That's not your boyfriend. That's your girlfriend.
I can actually bench quite a bit more than 225. But that's never made me the man in any relationship. Every demonic dwarf I ever dated didn't give a shit about how big and strong my manly muscles were. Those chaotic chihuahuas would get right in my face and call me a big for nothing bitch and tell me I wasn't gonna do anything about it. And they were right. But you know what? That's okay. I don't mind being the emotionally abused girlfriend because I get to listen to Katy Perry and lift weights with my boys.
He almost had it. He lost it at the end, but he almost got through it with a straight face.
I swear. Oh my God, I'm crying a little bit.
He's great. That's hysterical.
Oh, Lord.
I do have friends who are bodybuilders. I have 3 friends right now who are on the amateur bodybuilding circuit. So there are a lot of broy douchebags out there who think that they're, I bench this, that makes me, all this other stuff. Women don't care. I mean, they may like the look, but truthfully, when you talk to most women, they're not into giant behemoths. They're really not. I mean, most women I've talked to, they're like, no, that's scary. Seriously, I don't want anything to do with 300 pounds of nothing but muscle and disproportionate and all this other stuff. I'm not saying there's not women out there. I mean, bodybuilders do date. They do have wives. But there's a lot of these, it's that bro culture in the lifting community. Thankfully, it's not as prevalent and not as rampant. But I've known some guys like that.
I think the first guy at the very start of it, I mean, if you notice, his hat was like at least 3 feet away from his head, all lifted up. So I think he was trying to make sure that his Jersey Shore haircut was still intact, at that time when he was saying that. So, but the bros.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so I got that one, and the next one coming up right here is more of a essay, more of a órale vato type of video. But still kind of the same concept. You might want to check this out. It's actually kind of funny. We're going to put this on right there, and there we go.
Hey, baby. Hey, where are you? Shopping? Okay, great. I'll see you later on. Okay, no, I love you more. Okay, bye. All right, homie. Guess what? You can take a number 4 on my pad, eh? Yeah. No, don't shake my hand, homie. Move.
Damn, S.A. I wouldn't go in there if I was you, S.A. Give that time. Damn, S.A. I can smell it from all the way over here.
Hey, homie, did you use the Febreze?
What are you doing?
Baby, I wasn't expecting you this early.
Who are these people?
These are my friends. Yeah, we're just having fun.
Did you wash the dishes yet?
No.
What are you doing, fool? Scrub harder.
I'm trying, baby.
Those are baby hands. My daughter scrubs harder than that, fool. She's only 7 months.
Baby, come on.
What do they call you, casket? More like SpongeBob.
No, she's gangster, dog. Yeah, that fool's a wangster, dog.
You just don't yell at me, I'm sensitive.
Oh my God.
Hey, baby. Hey, where are you?
I almost restarted it again by accident. Oh my God. He's like, stop yelling at me. I'm sensitive.
Yeah. I think that's applicable to just about anybody. There's a lot of real hard guys out there who turn a very different story when they start talking to their ladies. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely. I've definitely seen that. Joni's on there right now, and she's kind of agreeing to that. Hint, hint. Jeremy, hint, hint.
What? With me, you get what you get. There's no
right.
one or the other.
But, this last video has to do with me, actually. Or should I say my first and last name. I got tagged in this video. I actually got tagged in this video. And when I watched it, I was like, wrong person. Wrong person. You gotta watch this. I saw this and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, let me think about this.
The first time I told the story, I only had a couple dozen followers, so it did not reach my intended audience, specifically Dave Navarro. So I'm telling it again today in the hopes that it reaches Dave Navarro, because he owes me, you sir, owe me $12 in 1995 money, which I have just Googled is $21.78 in today's money, and I'm gonna round it up to $22. Back in 1995, before Dave Navarro's second career as a reality game show host, he was a brilliant guitarist for Jane's Addiction, which is a phenomenal band. There was a dark turn with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I don't think was anyone's best work, but that's neither here nor there. Also in 1995, Dave Navarro and I believe his cousin were doing movie reviews for a magazine called Bikini. Bikini was an amazing magazine. Musicians and actors would write articles and do interviews with other musicians and actors. It was short-lived, which is unfortunate. In 1995, Dave Navarro's review of Species was feces, which, However, in that same issue, his review of The Usual Suspects was, quote, Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Sose, end quote. At the time that I read it, I thought, the fuck does that even mean? And then I paid $5 to get into the movie and another $7 on refreshments. I probably even went to dinner first, but I'll keep that out of the equation. So I paid $12 in 1995's money. And in 1995, I was 21 years old. I don't have a lot of money. So $12 was a big deal. I paid $12 to go see this movie, and 10 minutes into the movie, fucking Dave. So you, sir, owe me $22.
Apparently, I owe somebody I've never met in my entire life $22.
Okay, that's really, really funny. First of all, because it's your name, and I love her. Fucking Dave Navarro. Believe me, I say that weekly. So
yeah. You and my dad too.
But no, that's really, really funny. And seriously, what is Dave's problem? I mean, that's like seriously reviewing, The Sixth Sense, and your whole review is, Bruce Willis is dead. I mean, that's you gotta be a real dick to put out a spoiler like that in your review of a film that's still in the theaters.
Well, I mean, his name is Dave Navarro, so
does it just run in the blood? What is it? Does it come with the name?
Runs in the name. It runs in the name. What can I say? I thought you'd find that hilarious because it was like every time that she said my name, I was like, I didn't know you in 95. I wasn't even old enough to drink in 95.
That was too dang funny. And seriously, it just opened up a whole bunch of possibilities in my mind. I wonder if there's any, I hate Dave Navarro fan clubs I can join, and,
You could join. Thanks. I appreciate Yeah. Do
you feel the love? Do you feel the love?
I feel the love. I feel the love. Derek's on here says, it says, hey, I'm confused. Why are you two on opposite screens? Oh.
Ended up this way this time.
I guess. Yeah, we switch out from time to time. We go one way or the other. Well, that didn't sound right, actually.
Strike that.
Strike that. Reverse it. Classic. Anyways, again, I mean, that video threw me off. The first time when they tagged me on it, I was like, what the hell is this about? So I looked at it. I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
I'm sure.
I was like, this is freaking awesome. And then I actually messaged, they haven't said anything back, but I was like, same name, wrong person. I don't know this person $22. I owe a lot of people money, but not this person.
No, that's too perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh my God. Anyways, getting on to some entertainment news. On a serious note, actually, our top story, Billie Eilish went ahead and she was interviewed earlier this week saying that she got exposed to a lot of adult film content at a very young age, causing her a lot of trauma, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of nightmares and such things like that, to which former adult film actor Randy Spears, who was in the industry for many years, he also directed a lot of adult films, went ahead and agreed with her claim that watching violent porn actually did have a really bad negative effect on her. As far as according to TMZ.com, it says, quote, the way Randy sees it, pornographic images and movies are way too much for children to understand. And he agrees with Billie that such experiences can have lasting negative effects. They continue on to say, as we reported, Billie says she was just 11 years old when she started watching, quote, violent porn, and she thinks it caused her to have nightmares, sleep paralysis, and bedroom troubles when she started having sex as she grew older. Now, I mean, I have to admit that, exposing children at that young of an age could be incredibly confusing and irresponsible. My question is, who was monitoring her during this time that she was being exposed to this? I mean, was it like she has an older brother? So, I mean, it didn't really explain. She didn't really explain how she was exposed to it. As far as I know, she didn't really explain that. But regardless, whoever was responsible for an 11-year-old little girl to be watching violent porn, they need to they need to be talked to about that. Somebody needs to say, hey, how could you do this as a young girl? You kind of screwed her up for future relationships and mentally.
No, that was the main thing I was thinking when I was hearing you talk about the story was, where were the parents? Where were the people around her that were supposed to be protecting her and looking out for her? Because that is, violent porn in particular is something that, I mean, porn in general, not, and I'm going to make a distinction here, not a Playboy, not a Pick magazine, because I can tell you on my own experience, I was exposed to that young. It was a normal thing in my house. I lived with my grandmother and my grandfather, who were very lax in a lot of moral gray areas, but my grandfather had his stack of Playboys, my grandmother had her stack of Playgirls. It was considered normal. Art. It was not a big deal. I was brought up with an appreciation of the human form. I think I was maybe 9 years old when Hustler printed their first picture ever of a chick with a dick pic that they went famous for, and my grandfather ran out and bought it and promptly showed the whole family because he couldn't believe.
Wow.
He couldn't believe it, But again, I was raised with that, and I don't know, I was taught it was no big deal. Nudity was not the biggest, sin in the world. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't anything to be ashamed of, but that's a big difference than porn, or especially violent porn. That is something that, as I think it was, you said Randy Spears?
Randy Spears, yeah.
Yeah, like he talked about, I mean, that's something that a child's brain cannot process.
Correct.
And the truth is, violent porn speaks to a very specific fetish and a very specific group of people. Just about anyone else in the world, adult or otherwise, is generally disturbed seeing anything like that and those type of images. So for an 11-year-old to be exposed to that is absolutely insane, and it makes perfect sense that it would have really screwed her up in a lot of ways, sexually, mentally, physically, her ability to have a normal relationship. That's atrocious, really.
No, it's horrible to imagine that. I mean, as a kid, again, like you, I saw, Playboys when I was a kid, when I was like in junior high. That's when I actually saw my first Playboy, was in junior high. I mean, that happens with kids at that age. You tend to, coincidentally find a Playboy like, ooh, I mean, but realistically speaking, I mean, kids at an even younger age in elementary school, they're taught in sex ed what sex is, sexual education courses, things like that. They teach them all the stuff. But again, like you said, violent porn is different from that. I mean, sex ed is one thing. It teaches you about the human body, the human form, the reproductive systems, the organs, everything. It teaches you what happens.
Let me interject. Even regular porn is way different than that. I mean, we're talking about, there's a distinction between violent porn and regular porn, but even regular porn is way too much and way too scarring for people, kids of that age. That's something they are not going to be able to understand what, a real sexual relationship with a partner should be. They're going to have a lot of misconceptions. It can be a very dangerous thing.
I'm sorry to like real quick, it just reminds me of that because I love Friends. I love that show Friends. Reminds me of that episode where Joey and Chandler bump into the adult film channel, and they don't turn it off because they're afraid it might go away because they're getting it for free. And so when they finally realize, they were like, something happened to me when I was at the bank today. Hot bank teller didn't ask me to go into the bank vault and have sex with her. And he's like, same thing happened to me with the female pizza delivery woman. It's like they were expecting this to happen. It's like,
yeah, baby.
I mean, come on, It's one of those things where it I guess for certain people they believe that could actually happen in real life, and that's not reality. That's
if you're you're exposed to that kind of thing again in at a very young age, you may very well believe that is a normal process, a normal thing that happens, or a normal way to show your love for someone. I mean, it's very similar in the same way, especially with the violent porn. People who suffer sexual and physical abuse at a very young age, especially sexual abuse, end up with a lot of issues along those lines. They don't relate sexually and emotionally to their partners, to their loved one. It's a really, really dangerous thing, especially for a child.
Would you agree that this exposure that she went through would be in that category of child abuse?
Oh, absolutely. It all depends on how it came about. I mean, I can't imagine an 11-year-old searching for violent porn. I mean, I don't know how it came about. We don't know the story, but if somebody, an older person, an adult or otherwise, exposed her to this, that is absolutely abuse. I'll say it unequivocally.
I don't know. I have a feeling that this story is not quite done yet. I mean, there's a lot of holes in this story that need to be filled in. No pun intended. And I'm wondering. I'm sorry.
Do you see what?
I'm sorry, but anyways, I couldn't help myself. I mean, there are a lot of part of this story where I'm assuming, it's almost like it feels like she's protecting somebody, because she doesn't really say how or who exposed her to porn at 11 years old. She really doesn't there hasn't been any news about who exposed her. She kind of leaves that very vague. So I'm thinking she's protecting somebody. And if that's the case, then it might be somebody in her immediate family she might be protecting. Chances
I'm not
are
going to speculate on that, honestly. It could be a lot of different people. I had many different experiences where I maybe went to a friend's house and one of their uncles thought it was cool to throw on porn or something. I mean, there's, and then there's a whole nother conversation. Are they grooming the child at that point? Are they, it's a really, really nasty situation. And hopefully she's been able to heal and move on from this to some degree. But, I would absolutely 100% call it abuse if anybody, older, who should have known better, was the one that exposed her to that.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. I mean, this is something that I have a feeling that's not over, and I have a feeling that there's more truth that might come out of this in time. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully Billie Eilish is getting help, mental help for dealing with this type of trauma, because this is a trauma. This is absolutely a trauma.
Absolutely.
And it's something that she's had to deal with ever since she was a child. So hopefully she's getting help for that type of trauma, and hopefully it doesn't affect her future relationships, which from what I understand, from what I read from the interview and everything, it has affected her relationships now. So
I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it.
Hopefully that changes. In other news, an update actually on that truck driver that got 110 years. Sentenced for 110 years for an accident that cost the lives of 4 people. Looks like, Jeremy, this is your story. I mean, from what I understand, it seems that there seems to be some sort of a petition for clemency.
Yes, it actually started soon after we read that story, and I believe within a few days there were already over 3 million signatures for clemency for this truck driver, and I believe it's up over 4 million now. I believe you said 4.3 million. 4.3. So people, please keep writing in, because this is an injustice. I am not saying that this man does not deserve to pay a price. Again, we don't know all the facts as to whether he had intentionally missed the off-ramp or had a chance to make this a better situation. But 110 years for a mechanical failure that he was unable to foresee or avoid is beyond ridiculous. As I've said, we have people who are out shooting people in the streets who are getting less than 20 years, and yet this man, through almost no fault of his own, is now getting 110 years. Should he have to pay a price if he had a chance to stop it and didn't? Absolutely. But 110 years, that's life without parole for a guy who absolutely did nothing intentional and had no malicious intent whatsoever. And it's insane that he's facing that kind of prison sentence. So please, people, keep writing in, keep contacting whatever congressman is in that area, find out where this petition is, sign it, get as many people behind this as possible, and maybe we can get get him some clemency. Again, like I said, do I think he should walk away scot-free? No, personally, I don't, because there was loss of life here. And I do feel that the people who, if he bore any responsibility, again, we don't have all the facts from the trial, but if he bore responsibility for having an opportunity to end that in a safer way, then yes, he should face some penalty. That's the only fair thing for the people who were, for justice, for the people whose lives were lost, the family members who are still there, and the people who were injured. I mean, over 27 people seriously injured who are probably still dealing with the effects of that today, 2 years after the accident. So I do not believe he should walk away scot-free, but 110 years is absolutely insane. It's a medieval punishment.
No, it's absolutely, it's ludicrous. And he even says, his quote was, "I take responsibility, but it was not intentional. I am not a criminal." The guy's a hardworking truck driver. All he's trying to do is put food on the table for his family. He's just trying to make a living. That's all he was doing. And I mean, here's the thing, that according to what I read, it seems that his brakes, he lost control of his brakes. So that, to me, again, as we talked about last week, my dad went through that. I was in an accident with my dad because the brakes locked on him. Same thing happened. So it sounds to me that it's the same situation. And that's why I'm saying that I don't think this guy has any fault whatsoever. It's an accident that happens, especially with trucks, unfortunately.
As I said, we don't know all the details that led up to it. As I said, if it's just my opinion, I know we definitely have a different opinion on this, but if he passed the truck ramp and had plenty of time to get off on that truck ramp like he has been trained and taught to do, and he didn't, then he does bear some responsibility.
But not 110.
But not 110 years. I mean, That's absolutely atrocious.
No, that's insane. So I'm glad that at least people see that and they're trying to help him out. 4.3 million signatures, that's huge. That means that a lot of people are saying this is insane. I bet you anything, the judge even probably signed a petition saying, I'm only following the laws of the land. That's all I can do.
And that's when we reported this. I told you, the judge even said, this is the law. I have no choice but to sentence you to this sentence. There was no wiggle room for the judge based under the law that this was done in. So this needs to go to the governor, to the people who can change the laws, to the people who can offer clemency, because even the judge said there was absolutely no malice. It's not like he was driving drunk. It's not like he was, a speeded up trucker trying to stay awake. It's not, it's none of those things. There was no malice. There was no crime. And yet he's facing 110 years. Something's got to be done about this, and something's got to be changed.
Most definitely. Hopefully, maybe even, President Joe Biden might actually get involved in this. I mean, he could actually, he carries a lot of weight. He could talk to the governor and say, hey, let this guy go. Come on. It's 110 years. That's nuts. That's absolutely ludicrous. That's out of this world. But hopefully the guy gets off. Hopefully, like I said, like you said, if in fact he had an opportunity to stop this, preventing this from happening, then yes, he does bear some fault, but not 110 years. And if it wasn't his fault, which I don't believe it was his fault whatsoever, because these things do happen in 18-wheel trucks. I mean, it does happen. Not often, thank God, because that's, you're driving, like, truck drivers are driving death machines. Those things are, you get in front of those, you're dead. There's no coming out of that. So, I mean, hopefully he gets off, and hopefully we'll see what happens with all of that. And in another update news, you got something going on regarding to Britney Spears. What's happening there?
There's been more information released as Britney Spears is going after her old management company as well as her father for back money that they basically profited off of her during her, what I still call her imprisonment, false imprisonment by them. But the new news is that Jamie Spears, her father, actually borrowed a sizable amount of money from this management company, which if I could turn on my iPad at the moment, I would tell you the name, but it's dead.
Darn technology.
But They basically loaned her father, when he was down and out and desperate, a significant sum of money. And while he was still indebted to them, after he had put his daughter under the conservatorship, he handed over management of her entire career to them. Booked a 97-show tour for her over a year period or whatever it was, and allowed this company to profit off of her being forced to work by them. So they basically were a no-name company who profited off of her name, profited off of her business, all while he was still indebted to them. Now, I'm sorry, that's just dirty dealing under the table. We already know the guy's a scumbag. Jamie Lynn Spears is an absolute scumbag. I mean, to have done this to his own daughter, to have used her money for his legal defense for everything he's done, I mean, he has no care for his kid. He is a piece of shit, plain and simple. But for him to have handed over to a management company control of her whole career, are you kidding me? So they basically had no incentive to ever get her out of this situation. The company's profiting off of her, her father's profiting off of her, and they did everything they could, including spending her money to keep her under this imprisonment contract. So she's now going after them. They, hopefully she gets some, restitution, because the head of this company, as well as the company itself, is being brought into financial court. They're having to show their records, how much they profited off of her, what they took, what they stole, what they did. And, we're going to find out a heck of a lot more. But the fact that scumbag was indebted to this company, I mean, it's like a mafia type thing. Oh, you owe me this, so, I'm going to take your child's career money. I mean, that's old school mafia loan shark type stuff. So
I'm sorry, and I hate to cut you off here. I just want to go ahead and just get something like this. There's something when you were saying this, something was going through my mind. The fact of the matter that why wasn't this brought up during the time she was trying to end that conservatorship? I mean, why is it just coming out now?
It was brought up multiple times, but this part of it, I guess, was never either released to the media or wasn't addressed in court. I guess in court, this didn't have bearing on whether she was mentally capable to take care of herself. Gotcha. Getting out from under the conservatorship was only about, is she capable of doing this? And are the people who are her conservators behaving appropriately? So this definitely could have spoken to that second part, and I'm not sure if it was. We don't have full court transcripts, but this is only coming out now that her scumbag father was, basically in debt to a company for borrowing money, and he handed over his daughter's.
He's pimping her out.
He's basically pimping his daughter out.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
It's completely believable for this scumbag. So
yeah, that's true. I'm saying it's unbelievable that a parent would actually do that to their own child, but I guess money does crazy things to people. I've heard that from many people. I just every time I hear it, I can't believe it. Every time I hear something like this, I can't believe it. I'm like, that's your own child. That came out of you. That's a part of you. Mm-hmm. And you're treating that's like treating yourself like that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, but then again, I'm normal, sort of.
Let's not go that far.
Easy there, Sparky, easy. In other entertainment news, Nicole Kidman almost leaves the role of Lucille Ball, the role she actually played on Amazon's The Arnazes. And she basically was saying that in an interview, she wanted to leave because of all the criticism she was getting from so many people, especially like saying that she wasn't the right person for the role. She didn't sound like Lucille Ball in the movie. She was getting a lot of criticism for all those things. And the person that basically told her to stay was the director and the writer, Aaron Sorkin, the one that casted her to begin with. Now, Aaron Sorkin is a genius. I think the guy is an incredible writer. I've watched so many of his movies. I think he's a brilliant mind. The way he writes things, the way he directs them, I think is absolutely incredible. Yes, when I heard that Nicole Kidman was being cast for the role of Lucille Ball, I had reservations of it. Honestly, I still haven't seen the movie yet. But I mean, no doubt that if it's Aaron that did it, if it's Aaron that casted her, there's a reason why. The guy knows what he's doing. He's a genius for a reason. And she goes up in an interview. She says, quote, I tried not to listen to the criticism, but I'm a human being. So there's times when you go, gosh, maybe I'm not the right person for this. That's where having somebody like Aaron, who really said at the beginning, he was like, I'm not wanting a perfect rendition or imitation of Lucy. No. So in essence, that's how true artistic, form is. When you don't want something to be exactly what it is. You want somebody to play the role, not be the person. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes sense. It's more of an artistic thing, and I can understand, someone like Aaron Sorkin wanting to go that way. But again, you're making these things for the fans. You're making these things for the people who are going to watch and tune in. And if they're expecting to see Lucy and you give them not Lucy, how do you think they're going to respond? I mean, that's my honest opinion, is how do you think the fans are going to respond? These are the people who are going to make this a success or not. And if you didn't give them what they were looking for, it ain't going to be a success and you're going to get criticism. Now, I mean, I'm not one to give a fellow actor, actress a hard time over being sensitive to criticism. It can be tough. It can be really tough. But when you take on a role like this, when you take on an icon, if you don't do it justice, you're going to get fried. It's
True.
Just that simple. That's if you take on any iconic role, any iconic person that America and the world loves, if you don't do it justice, you're going to hear about it. And she knew this beforehand. So,
True.
I think it is what it is. The director, I good on Aaron Sorkin for sticking by her, for, convincing her to stay, for convincing her to continue with his vision of this. But there's a disconnect between some producers and directors and writers and the fans as to what they want to see. It is an art, and that is part of the director's job, is to translate that properly. And they have a vision of how they want to do that. But, and I'm not saying this is Aaron Sorkin, but sometimes the producer, director, writer's egos get in the way. They have a vision. It's going to be their vision of this. Well, okay, but when it bombs because you didn't give the fans what they want, you got nobody to complain to but yourself.
True. And it, this industry, it's all about what have you done for me lately, unfortunately. So you're only as good as your last movie. So in this industry, that's just the way it is in the Hollywood industry. And according to the article, it continues on to say, quote, instead, Aaron was looking for someone who could connect with Lucille's story. And Nicole said there's, quote, a lot of it I can relate to as one actress to another. So that's another thing that Aaron was looking for as well. I mean, you talk.
I can totally understand. I can totally understand where Aaron would be coming from, because, and again, what we saw of Lucille Ball was not Lucille Ball. That was not
correct.
her. That was her character.
Correct.
So if he's wanting somebody that can connect more with that side of the story, more her personal side and the things she went through, then, I absolutely understand the choice of doing so. But again, that's not what the fans were expecting. So you have to expect this kind of pushback and blowback. Again, I'll take this to say Jim Carrey doing Man in the Moon. He connected with Andy's personal side, but he also gave us a eerily accurate rendition of Andy's more flamboyant personality as well. So it's a hard choice. I understand what Aaron may have been going for, but you had to know that the fans were not going to be too happy with that at first. I mean, that's if he couldn't see that, he had blinders on.
Well, here's actually a quote that she said that maybe you could actually relate to a little bit as an actor. She says, quote, there's a scene in it where they say you're 39 and that's it. It's kind of over for you. I know that feeling. I sort of had that. And it was like, okay, where television suddenly opened a door for her, it opened a door for me around the same age. I was like, gosh, that's kind of, I know that feeling really deeply. What do you think of that?
You unfortunately see it all the time. It does not affect men in the business as drastically or as often, if ever. being younger, I was definitely typecast, stereotyped. Things got hard, but the opportunities have still always been there. And again, we see it constantly. You've got a 70-year-old guy on the screen playing opposite a 20-year-old girl, and they never say anything about the 70-year-old guy. But you have all these brilliant actresses who at the age of 40 are basically told, well, you can either be the grandmother or you can be the next door neighbor, but you're not going to be the lead.
And that's tough, and that's what she was talking about. What Lucille Ball went through. That's the reason why. That's the personal part where Aaron was like, "I want you to connect with Lucille Ball, not Lucy." From I Love Lucy. I want you to connect to Lucille Ball because this is what she went through. This is what actresses went through back then, and still go through. Actors and actresses both go through today in today's world.
No, we do. It's much, 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 much more prevalent on the female side. That's just the facts. It is. It's really difficult for a woman over the age of 40, over the age of 50 to be given lead roles nowadays, unless you're, say, Meryl Streep, who's been nominated up and down and is considered one of the finest living actresses around. Unless you're that person, jobs get scarce. People don't want to hire you. And it doesn't seem to be the same way with most of the male actors. If you've established yourself as a male actor, jobs are still there and new ones opening up for you well into your 40s, your 50s, and as we've even seen, 60s and 70s now. That is not the case with actresses in this business. There's a much more limited shelf life because of that persona and that perception. And unfortunately, it's something that most actresses deal with all the time in this business.
I mean, hell, you got Jared Leto that he's like over 50. He's like 51 or something like that. And the guy's getting roles of the Joker and a bunch of other lead roles right now. So, but then again, he doesn't look 50 either. He looks like he's like in his 20s. The guy looks young.
Looks really young. Yeah, you're right. He looks really young. But there are still, you still have, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise does not look young anymore. Tom Cruise hasn't looked young in a long time.
Yep.
But he, still, because he's achieved what he's achieved, he still gets movies thrown at him constantly. Unfortunately, women of the same age in this business are not having those opportunities presented to them all the time. In fact, they get scarcer and scarcer and scarcer, and it rarely depends on their body of work. They usually are extremely accomplished and yet still just disappear and kind of fade off in the background. And it's not right.
Well, so far, I haven't heard much about the movie The Arnazes or The Arnaz. I can't pronounce the name. It's a tough name to pronounce. But so far, I haven't heard much from it other than the commercials. I've seen the posters for it. Yeah, she does. She has a lot of similarities to Lucille Ball. So, I don't know. I guess only time will tell what the rest of the critics say about the movie in the upcoming months. In other news, Jeremy, you got something going on with anti-maskers. What are those darn anti-maskers up to now?
Well, we have a lot of out-of-town anti-maskers who are trying to ruin a business in Chicago because they require a mask to come inside and eat. It's a bar and restaurant. I believe it might also be a B&B type place. They didn't give us all the details, but apparently anti-maskers from Texas, from California, and from, I think, Missouri are leaving tons of one-star reviews on this place, just ripping it apart. Horrible customer service. They hassle everybody. Worse food, worse this, worse that. And it's an organized group doing this, trying to ruin this small business because they don't like the fact that they've been asked to put on a mask to come in. Now, here's my thing.
Kidding me?
No, this is what they're doing. They're trying. This is a small business. They're trying to ruin this person's livelihood because they were asked to put a mask on because they follow the state's guidelines. Are you joking me? You're ruining someone's livelihood for no reason, for your own entitled self, bullshit. It absolutely infuriates me. It really does. You don't want to wear a mask? Find a place. I guarantee there's some entitled dick like you who owns a business who's going to let you come in without a mask. I guarantee it. You'll find somebody who thinks they're just like you, thinks your rights are more important than keeping people safe. And go, please, be my guest. Go to their business. Give them your business. But why are you ruining the business of an establishment that has, done absolutely nothing wrong, is looking out for its patrons and its workers, and is following state guidelines. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What confuses me a little bit in this situation is the fact of the matter that Texas, yes, I can see that, the people from Texas being that way. And what was the other state you said besides
Missouri.
California? Missouri, I can see that too. But California, I mean,
don't forget. California was the last bastion of the KKK and right-wing conservatism in the entire United States. Anaheim had the last active chapter and marches for the KKK in the entire United States up until recently, when we have the new neo idiots. That's California, although does tend to be very liberal, has its pockets of extreme conservatism. And again, the further you get out into the country and out away from the main cities, you tend to see more of this. So yeah, it's an actual organized group of people in 3 states trying to ruin a small business for looking out for their workers and their patrons.
Unbelievable. Really quick, before we move on to the next topic here, I wanted to go ahead and, because I see that we have a lot of people that have joined the stream here, and I want to just remind all of you that are watching the stream right now to please, there's a link at the bottom of the description of this episode to our YouTube channel. Please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we do little specials here and there on Facebook, but it's not often that we're going to be on Facebook. I mean, we're definitely not going to be on Facebook a lot. So all of you that are watching, please subscribe to the link that's in the description of this video. And like I said, hit that notification bell so you could go ahead and see when we're on live, and you could join in the conversation. Like many people are actually joining right now, Jeremy. They've actually been joining right now.
I love it. I love it when everybody starts interacting. And yeah, like I said, I wish we could, do more on Facebook, but it is going to be wrapping up. We're not going to be on here very often. So if you want to be able to follow along, if you want to see what we're talking about, and if you want to support us, definitely, click that subscribe, click on the link, head over to YouTube, and give us a little support.
Yay. And that you heard it from the man himself. So in other news, this is actually kind of borderline sports news here, because it's talking about Dennis Rodman. And the Worm seems to have gotten a little problems with JetBlue this morning, actually. He boarded a flight to Fort Lauderdale, and he was in first class, and he was asked repeatedly to put his mask on. He kept on putting his mask below his chin, claiming that he couldn't breathe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but you could breathe with your nose, can't you? I mean, that's just, I don't know. Before you answer that question, because I can see your face already like, oh, Dennis. Apparently, when he landed, he was met with authorities at Fort Lauderdale, but, he was landing in Fort Lauderdale, so they only detained him for a little bit, and they let him go right off into the sunset, skipping away with no fine, no nothing. So surprise on that.
First of all, what am I supposed to be shocked that Dennis Rodman has a problem with authority? Oh my God,
Dennis Rodman!
Breaking news. We just broke the world. The world can't handle that news. I mean, you got to be joking me. First of all, it's just idiocy, but he's known for idiocy. So, I mean, he's known for just being doing whatever the hell he wants and not caring about anybody else. I mean, he's known for that. It's the same guy who goes to North Korea and is buddy with Kim Jong-il, a mass murdering psycho. So, he thought that was a good idea. I don't really take, my cues from Dennis Rodman. But it doesn't shock me. I mean, people are doing this all the time. I mean, people are literally doing this all the time. I've flown multiple times now that the pandemic has been going on, and you see people constantly trying to skirt the rules. You see people constantly. I mean, we had one lady who absolutely threw a fit because they told her mask wasn't acceptable. Her mask was a self-made thing of nothing but beads. It had holes. It had, they're like, sorry, that doesn't comply. You have to wear an actually effective mask. And, they lost it. So people are doing this all the time. The fact is, you don't want to deal with it, don't get on the plane. It is the rule now. You have a choice. Go hop on a train. You're still going to have to wear it. Go drive, go rent a car, then you can do it yourself. But right now, these are the rules. This is how it's going to be. And the federal aviation, and federal government is enforcing this. So again, it is not the flight attendant's fault. I mean, we just had another flight attendant attacked by a passenger who refused to wear his mask, and the attendant was beaten by this man. Are you kidding me? It is not their fault. They are enforcing rules that they have to. People, get your heads out of your asses, start thinking about other people, think about the people around you, and start acting like adults. Quit acting like 4-year-olds.
I think that's too much to ask. I think, unfortunately, that's far too much to ask.
I'm asking anyway.
Yeah, right. In hopes that maybe, just maybe, there might be hope for humanity yet.
Eric did have a good point. With his piercings, he said maybe not.
I was going to just comment on that, actually. You beat me to the punch on that one, and he might be right on that. He's like, ow, ow, ow.
Well, it might hurt his face, but you know what? The piercings, especially nose, lip, all those things, they come out. You could very easily take it out, put the mask on. When you're done, you can put all your piercings back in. It's not an excuse for not following the federal. I mean, if they tell you got to wear your seatbelt on the plane, you got to wear your seatbelt on the plane. If they tell you got to, not get up and go to the bathroom when you're in the middle of turbulence, you have to do that, or you will face some sort of consequences. Nothing has changed. There have always been rules on the plane. There have always been things you can and cannot do. It's just now you have a bunch of entitled people who've been told by a bunch of idiot politicians that this is the right thing to do or this is the wrong thing to do, and they're going to act like 4-year-olds over it. It is absolutely astonishing. And if I was not the peaceful person I was and I am now, or if I was more of the person I was and not the peaceful person I am now, I seriously, I'd start beating ass on every flight I was on, with people misbehaving and going off on flight attendants. I mean, I'm sorry. If I saw somebody getting up and laying hands on a flight attendant, me, I'd beat the air marshal to him. So
this is true. I mean, and like I said, it's one of those situations where I'm sure this won't be the last time that we hear about some high-profile person, anti-masker, that doesn't want to wear a mask or doesn't want to adhere to the rules or anything like that. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, Dennis, we get it. You're a bad boy. You're a rebel. You're going to be you're almost going to be 60 or something like that. And you're still going to be on a freaking, probably in a cane or something. And still, I don't want to have a cane. I'd rather fall, type of situation. So I don't know. It's a hard, but you still got to go ahead and wear a mask. Come on. Let's be realistic here. But anyways, go ahead.
And we knew you were being sarcastic, Derek. I was just trying to think how it would be possible that all those things he keeps in his face.
Ow!
I can just picture it sticking on the mask. He tries to pull it down. That'd be rather painful. But again, this is nothing that shocks me. I mean, Dennis Rodman has always been Mr. Anti-Authoritarian, which again is really kind of weird considering he thinks Kim Jong-il is a good person.
He likes a bad boy. Bad boys like bad boys.
Authoritarian, but I'm not shocked by this coming from him. When you have everyday average people doing this, and then you got a guy whose reputation is for behaving like this, it's not shocking.
Not at all. So it is what it is. In other sports news, the knockout herd around the world happened this weekend as Jake Paul knocks out Tyron Woodley in the 6th round. Now, we've seen some of the video. I sent you a video of what it looked like because you didn't watch the fight. I mean, I don't know. That was kind of weird that he kind of put his hand down for like a split second and Jake capitalized that. Coincidence? Fix? I mean, I don't know. It seems a little shady to me. And I actually saw the comment section, and a lot of people are saying the same thing, that it might have been fixed.
It smells a little fishy, that's for sure. From what I've been told, Tyron was pretty much dominating him. Yep. Jake was gassed, and fighters have been known to drop their hands occasionally. It's a big mistake. Some fighters have gotten caught doing it, but for it to be as one-sided as it was, and then all of a sudden just this miracle punch and he's dropped his hands for him. It does smell a little fishy. Thankfully, these things don't happen as much in fighting anymore, or at least in professional fights. These are not professional fights. These are amateur bouts being put on by promoters who, who can dictate their own terms. As we've already heard, there was very much a possibility that in the last fight, Tyron Woodley was under contract not to be able to knock him out. That was one of the stipulations in the contract.
Clauses.
I would believe that wholeheartedly, and if so, I would very much believe that this was also tossed. Tyron Woodley has not had the best relationship in the last couple of years with the with the UFC and Dana White.
They were also, it's funny you say that because they were actually also making mention that Tyron Woodley was already on a losing streak in the UFC. I mean, he was already on his way out. He had like a 4 or 5 losing streak, like right there. That's why he left the UFC. So he was already not doing too well as a fighter as it was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And making himself look bad to help stick it to Dana a little bit by having one of his former fighters lose to one of these idiot Paul brothers, it wouldn't be outside of the realm of believability. But again, we have no proof of this. It definitely smells a little fishy. Lucky punches do happen in boxing. They definitely do. I've seen guys I actually have seen footage of a guy who was out on his feet. He had gotten knocked out, but was still up on his feet and managed to flail a right hand that knocked his opponent out, and he won. And he collapsed right afterwards because he was unconscious. He didn't even know what he was doing, but he won the fight because he got in one lucky punch. So it is possible, but it smells a little fishy to me. I mean, I've been around boxing long enough. I've followed it long enough, participated for a while. It smells a little fishy. It really does.
Well, it seems that Tyrone and Jake Paul are now like BFFs because Jake went ahead and bought him a Rolex. And gave him a Rolex actually, and during the interview, one of the reporters actually said, talked to him about that, and I guess Jake was in a giving mood. He's like, "You want a Rolex too? Get his information. Get him a Rolex too." So Jake is just giving Rolexes away like he's Oprah, like, and you get a Rolex, and you get a Rolex. Everybody gets a Rolex type of thing. So and then on social media, apparently, a former football player, or I don't know if it was former or current, I don't know if it's LeGarrette Blount or somebody from the Ravens, made a comment about Tyron Woodley. Jake came to his defense and told him to shut the F up, that Tyron will knock him out anytime he wants. He's like, go ahead and bring yourself into the squared circle and we'll make that match, you and Tyron together. So I guess Jake is also booking fights now too with people that aren't even boxers. So that's another thing that's going on with that. And then the story continues with this guy. He goes ahead and calls out Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and Conor McGregor and tells them, get out of your contracts with Daddy Dana and come meet me here. To which Jorge Masvidal went on social media, basically told him to shut the F up, tell him that he can't afford him. He's like, Jake, you talk about, all this money, 50 million here, 50 million there. I know the truth. You don't pay your boxers anything, so you can't afford me, first of all. He's like, second of all, you want to keep on talking? Get in the octagon. Go ahead and do a one-off. Get in the octagon and face me where I could body slam you and knock your chin right and break your jaw. Not a problem for me. Just get in there. Stop. But until you do that, shut the F up, is pretty much what Masvidal said to Jake. The freaking social media went bananas when he posted that video. We're like, Savage, we love you.
You will never see one of the Paul brothers fight a real fighter who's not way past their prime. They'll never step into anything where they could they're a joke. They're not real fighters. Everything you're seeing is basically staged. And if they ever came across somebody who could really fight, they better watch their mouths, because honestly, you come across one of these guys on the street and they'll lay your ass out. Plain and simple.
Because that's not a boxing fight. That's a street fight. And these guys know how to fight in the street.
They really ought to watch their mouths. I know it's for promotion. I know it's for all those things. But, you mess with the wrong guy and they will step up and they'll beat you and your bodyguards and anybody else you have around them to the floor. Plain and simple. I don't care how big your bodyguards are. They'll be on the floor along with you and your brother. Go ahead and try it. Try and step to one of these UFC fighters. I dare you. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. They're going to talk smack. They're going to talk crap. They will never step to a real fighter.
Not to mention the fact of the matter that Masvidal's background comes from street fighting. That's how he began his career. Backyard street fighting. So you really want to talk? You really, really want to talk, and you really want to, you really want to question Masvidal's manhood, so to speak? You really want to go there? Come on. Don't do that. Stay in your lane. Have fun.
I'd love to see it at this point. So please, Paul brothers, keep it up. Keep talking trash to these guys who can literally kill you with one hand behind their back. Keep talking smack, and it's going to happen. One of them's going to find you on the street, in a club, someplace you're at, and you're going to the hospital. That's a guaranteed fact.
That's very true.
Not one of these two guys could handle a real fighter. They fight washed up people. They're fighting with clauses in the contract that they can't do this, they can't do that. These are not real fighters. This is all for show.
There's no hugging in a street fight. There's no hugging. When you get hugged, you're gonna get put down real quick by a trained street fighter. So these guys, like you said, Jeremy, they better watch their mouths what they're saying, because they don't want that smoke. They really don't want that smoke. No. But anyways, in other sports news, our final story here has to do with Tom Brady losing it at the game for Sunday Night Football against New Orleans. And the story here is that Tom Brady, since he's been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has not been able to defeat the New Orleans Saints. And last night,
in the regular season,
in the
playoffs last year.
Yeah, in the regular season, he has not been able to defeat them. And because of that, last night, he lost it. He really lost it. He went up to the substitute coach right now, because the current New Orleans coach right now is on COVID, COVID-19. He's off because of COVID-19. Protocol, thank you. For the protocols. And after an interception, Tom Brady actually walked up to the coach and told him to F off, or at least that's what most people are assuming is what he said, because of the way his mouth was moving. And then he was interviewed afterward, and he said, it's just football talk, pretty much is what he said. And then they caught a video of him on the sidelines grabbing one of the tablets for the plays and everything, and smashing it. You could see the frustration of how he grabbed it and just like tossed it and smashed that thing and obliterated it. I mean, it's a little satisfying. I'm not going to lie. Seeing him be that frustrated, it's a little satisfying in my opinion.
I've never been the biggest Tom Brady fan. His ego is gigantic, and as we've seen, he can't take a loss like a man. He can't. He can't just say, good job. He throws a fit. He makes excuses. He goes over. I mean, you're getting shut out 9-0. You're getting embarrassed, humiliated by the New Orleans Saints. And what do you choose to do after throwing a pick? You run to their sideline and start trying to taunt the defense, taunt the players, and talk crap to them. Really? I'm sorry, the man has no class, none whatsoever. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're a champion. Act like one. Act like you've been there before.
Act your age, not your shoe size.
You know, but he doesn't. He's notorious for throwing fits like this when he doesn't get his way, basically. And I'm sorry, that's not a champion to me. You can have as many titles as you want. If you can't do it with a little class and a little style and actually be a decent human being, shake your opponent's hand afterwards and say, dang, you guys handed it to us. Well, then you're basically just a little bitch.
No, really, tell me how you really feel, Jeremy. Don't hold back at all.
I'm sorry. That's one of the things. I may not be the biggest hockey fan, but I'll tell you, I love the fact that after a game, hockey players, I don't care if there's been fights, if you broke somebody's nose, if you got into a huge brawl like they used to, at the end of the day, they all shake hands. At the end of the game, they still shake hands every single time. That's sportsmanship and that's class. Brady has never had the ability to do that. He has always put down the people who are his rivals, who have been, he waits until they retire before he ever even says a good word about them. He shows no class in dealing with anybody who's handed him a loss because his ego can't take it. That's what it seems like.
This is true. And on a side note, yesterday, I mean, my Packers they barely got a win against the Ravens yesterday. Barely. You know why? Because the Ravens got greedy. They could have easily kicked the field goal and went into overtime. They decided to go for 2 points. Come on. You're not going to do that. You're not going to try to go ahead and score 2 points on the Packers at that point. But what I'm actually happy about is Aaron Rodgers has tied the record for most touchdowns by the Packers with Brett Favre. So both him and Brett Favre, 442 throwing touchdowns. Beautiful. It was beautiful. He actually tied Brett Favre, and I can guarantee you next game, he'll surpass that. He'll be the new record holder on that one. So, you know, good luck to the Packers.
I have less of an issue with Rodgers than I do with Brett Favre. So good on you, Rod.
That's the news in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for watching us. Again, you know, it's been a displeasure to be here with this guy right here.
Oh, come on. You love talking to me, and it's so good to see your smiling face.
I hate you. I really hate you.
Guys, it's, you know, Christmas week. Everybody have wonderful holidays. Have a wonderful Christmas. You know, give your loved ones a hug. Please be safe. Please be safe in your celebrations, and we'll see you next week.
On a quick side note, all joking aside, Jeremy Miller, you've been a great host with me, man. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me, man. Honestly, I couldn't have had a better partner in crime for this podcast. You're an amazing human being, dude. I mean, I love you. You're my brother, and you know,
you're in the top 20 for me of hosts I could ask for. So you're in the top 20.
Well, I do have a keychain that you gave me that says I'm your favorite, you know, asshole. So,
and it couldn't be more true.
But I mean, there cannot be a Navarro-Miller Report without the Miller. So thank you very much, man.
Always, brother.
I wish you and your family and everybody that's watching happy holidays. May you spend it well. May you spend it safely. Remember, there's still a pandemic. The Omicron variant is very, very contagious. So please, please don't just think about yourselves. Think about your loved ones, especially during this holiday season. It took us a long time to be able to be with each other on Christmas. And we don't want to go back. We don't want to go back to where we don't want to see where we can't see our loved ones because we're being too bullheaded. We're thinking of ourselves and not of others. So please, please think of others, especially during this holiday season. And we won't be back until Monday. So everybody, make sure you enjoy yourselves. I won't be here with this guy. Thank God. It'll be
Get
great.
a little break from him.
Little vacation. Little vacation. But other than that, everybody, hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we will definitely see you on Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, hit that notification bell so you could be notified when we go on live, so you could join us in the conversation, and we will see you next time.
You have been listening to the Navarro-Miller Report.